Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so we have Sibongile Mngoma with us today. So Bongi, I call her Bongi, so that is my right and my privilege. So let's start with who is Sibongile Mngoma?
Who is Spinal Mngoma? Spinal Mngoma is opera singer, voice coach, voice teacher, vocal rehab specialist, producer, director. Phew, I'm a lot of things. A mother, a choir conductor too.
Oh yes.
So I'm a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but I prefer to call myself the opera singer with a heart of gold. That for me works.
Nice, nice. Okay, we're gonna delve into the heart of gold thing a little bit later. But for those of you who don't know, Sibongile, or Bongi as I call her, is now officially living in Bloom. We won't delve into that story as how she got here. We will do that in another episode. But Bongi, I mean, you've been here for not very long, but what has your experience been in terms of the arts in Bloom? Like, what is your take based on your personal experience?
My experience in the arts in Bloom has been very frustrating. I have to say that it's been frustrating. There's a lot of talent here, there's a lot of potential here, there's a lot of drive, but there's not a lot of do. And that is frustrating because you can see where people want to go, you can see what people want to do, you can see what people want to achieve, but there's just not enough happening in terms of getting them where they want to go. And that for me has been very frustrating because I'm a doer. I believe that if we say we want to do concerts, let's get on with it, let's do them. If we say we're going to put on productions, let's get on, let's do that. If we say we are going to have an activation, come out, let's activate together. Let's not talk about it on the phone and then it doesn't happen in the physical. So that has been my experience. And then there's also the official side of it where you go into meetings and people promise to even just send an email and it just doesn't get there. And that has been the frustration for me, is that I can see that Bloom wants to go somewhere, but Bloom is not getting there. I don't know if the issue is lack of access or inability or what it is, but there's something frustrating about Bloemfontein and the arts.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a conversation where we have to bring a couple of locals together and see where the problem really is, so that we can start moving. Okay, so you've been appointed this year as the choir conductor for the University of the Free State, and I mean, can you just share with us what your vision is? Like, what do you have planned for us in terms of what can we expect in terms of sound, in terms of presentation? Although it's COVID, but I mean, we still allowed to dream and have visions.
Well, before COVID, the plan was to have lunch hour concerts to introduce the new choir, the new sound, the new look. I have watched previous videos of the choir, and there's a specific look that they had and a specific sound. So I figured, because the university has changed a lot over the past 25, 26 years of democracy and the new dispensation. So why not be deliberate about changing the sound and the look to fit the look of the country? And so to that end, we have a much more mixed. It's no longer just some choirs you get a lot of white people and a few black people, or a lot of black people and a few white people. So what I was aiming for was a more representative look to the choir of the demographics of this country. And the sound was more geared towards university students. Choirs tend to be more geared towards sound, genre, type, as opposed to who. So my whole concept was just to tap into you working with young people. These are students. They're young. What do they listen to? What makes them excited? And the choir, when we started, the choristers will tell you we've been having fun. We explore what they deal with every day. What are the dances that they see every day, that they do every day? What are the styles of music they're listening to? So, whatever songs we do, they have to have some elements that they can recognize and relate to because that's what it's about. And that will also help us to achieve the goal of the Vice Chancellor who wants us to go to the World Choir Games because then we're coming on fresh new song. So that was for me what was influencing where my vision for the choir was going.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to see eventually the sound and the look and the feel. One of the things that I really want to focus on in the conversation today is the I'm for the Arts movement. I think I'm in a fortunate space where you've introduced me to this movement, and I'm very grateful for it. And personally, I'm involved in the arts education work group, but I just want you to really share with us where this is coming from and what is it about.
I'm for the Arts actually came about because of frustration. When you get frustrated because things are not happening the way they should or the way you believe they can. And I've lived in different parts of the world where I've seen how people do art differently to us and how the arts are supported. And by supported, I don't mean funding in terms of government funding. I mean because it's easily accessible to communities, communities embrace it easier because they know who the artists are. And when I started the movement, I would say families of artists, supporters of the arts. You call everybody who is touched by the arts in any way, because then it becomes important that people feel that it's not something that's isolated, that now and again we go and support in the theater or by going to watch a movie or anything like that. But it's part of everyday life. And that for me came from living in Italy. In Italy, music is so integrated to everyday life. You will go to the pizzeria down the road to get your pizza or to the gelateria to get your ice cream, and the owner of the shop is singing opera and singing it better than people have heard on stage. So that's how integrated it is. So when I was singing there, they would say to me, wow, you actually sing this better than some of our best singers because you've just embraced the culture. So it stopped being about the opera itself. It became about the culture, the lifestyle. And I felt that, South Africa is not being for the arts in making it part of our lifestyle. It's not part of our everyday tapestry. And it's important that it is, because when you think of how we deal with young pupils who come from broken homes, abusive homes, whatever the case may be, problem homes, when we use drama, they find it so much easier to cope. And can you imagine if every aspect of the arts became a normal part of life, everyday life? Our children wouldn't struggle so much to actually communicate with us, because they would know if I role played a little, maybe mommy or daddy would know what I'm doing. because I don't have the words to express what I'm going through. But we haven't made it an integral part of our daily living. So I felt if I could go out there and touch people in a different way and use art differently, whether it's protest, whether it's activism, whether it's holding government accountable, but I'm for the arts is there to do something to make a shift, to bring about change that will make the arts healthier so that the artists can be healthy too. Because, I got tired of friends dying from depression. When I say dying from depression, I'm talking about people committing suicide, people letting themselves go, people putting themselves in dangerous situations that will lead to their death. And it's all because of depression, because the arts are not safe, they are not healthy. So I'm for the arts is actually there to make the creative spaces and industries a safer place to actually be in.
Wow. Well, being in the Free State now, because the show is primarily to really try and ignite what's happening in the Free State and expose what's happening and really bring the artists together and create platforms for us to engage. So the Art for the Arts movement is literally growing within each and every province. And now being a Free Stater yourself, growing into becoming one, what would you say to artists in terms of getting involved with this movement? So if were to advocate for that within our province, what would your message be to them?
The one thing that the Free State needs is unity. We need unity in this place. We need people to understand that collaboration is better than competition. Everyone wants to be better than everybody else. And I grew up in a home of music. My grandfather was a professor of music. My grandmother, who was a nurse, was a beautiful alto soloist. My dad is a cellist. My aunt is a musician, a singer, very famous singer. So we grew up in a home where literally it could become very tense if people didn't understand that collaboration was key. So everybody had to learn to appreciate everybody else's taste in music. My dad is a jazz fundi. My aunt was young at the time, so she was into whatever pop was familiar at the time, which would have been, very conscious pop, because we're talking your Letambundus and your Kaifa Simenyas and, Brenda Fassie came in much, much later, but, her growing up, I remember we would be listening to a lot of very conscious music. And my grandfather listened to a lot of oratorio and classical music. My grandmom was more into your opera music. So, you learn then to understand that there's a certain level of acceptance that needs to come into play. So for me, I would say the Free State artists need to become more like my home when I was growing up, be accepting of each other. Yes, we are different. Yes, we have different tastes. We practice different styles. But for us to succeed, one of the most disturbing narratives I've heard is that this province is one of the poorest, and in terms of governance, one of the most corrupt. That's disturbing, because you look at the budgets that are allocated and you think, I don't believe that the number of artists in the Free State would justify the Free State artists being poor, considering the budget that is allocated. Every single artist should be comfortable if everything was done the correct way. But you see, the problem is that because the artists themselves are not united, it's easy to rob them of their right. But if the artists in this province actually got together and said, who will do this together for us. For artists, by artists of the Free State, do you know that it wouldn't take us 2 days to get the provincial government to actually be accountable and release funding? And actually, even right now, during this lockdown, it wouldn't take us 24 hours to get help for artists today. But because artists are not united and there's so much competition, nobody wants to listen. Everybody wants to be right. It's okay to be right, but in the process of being right, you don't have to be stupid. You can be right, intelligent, and wise. So I think the main thing right now would be, can we just all come together? Let's call a meeting. We can find a big enough space for all of us to be in one space and socially distance and still have a meeting that literally takes us where we need to go. Let's talk. Let's engage. Let's agree that our differences do not make us enemies.
Oh, that's deep. Okay. Well, that's all from us for today, Bongi. I really want to thank you, and we will definitely have another conversation to delve deeper into getting everybody together. But I think we are grateful for having you in the province, and we are grateful for having your gifts. You as a person, your charm, your strictness, and everything that comes with it. Yes. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best, and we'll chat soon again.